compost bin, and then they're constantly filling it and they never get a chance to actually harvest and use the compost. So what you need to do is fill one, and then you have the second one there while this one is maturing. So the first thing to look at, if it's too dry, you'll generally see ants and cockroaches because they love the warmth. If it's too wet, you will know about it the moment you lift the lid because it will be anaerobic and it'll stink. So the way to test is to grab a handful and give it a squeeze. If you get a whole lot of water coming out, you know that it's too wet. If no drips at all come out, it's too dry. You want it to be a bit like a moist sponge where you squeeze it and perhaps a couple of drops come out. This example is perfect because it squeezes together and holds like a nice chocolate fudge, but then when I flick it with my thumb, look at that, it just crumbles. Oh, that is almost edible. So from a complete compost, let's have a closer look at a compost in process. The key to it all is the balance. We're talking balance between green materials and brown materials. If you put your kitchen caddy full of food scraps into your compost, you need to put at least 1.5 kitchen caddies worth of brown material to balance the equation. So in this case, leaves or dried grass or shredded newspaper. And then, of course, you need to turn it, because every time you turn it, you'll bring oxygen into the mix and help the organisms and all the bacteria in your compost to help break it down quicker. I tend to think of my compost bins as pets. They're part of the family. They need a little bit of attention, a bit of TLC. But remember, we don't want full compost bins sitting around. The idea behind it all is to get this good compost out in the garden, building your soil and feeding your plants. They'll love you for it. It's easy to forget that lawn is a plant. It needs the same attention as we give most of our other plants, but sometimes we forget to do it. So the first task that's appropriate at this time of the year is to aerate and alleviate compaction, and that will get it through the winter and have it thrive come spring. On a large area of lawn, you can hire a mechanical aerator or corer, but for most of us, a simple garden fork will do the job. You can get something like this corer. Just go across the area in an ordered way, up and down in rows, 10, 20 centimetres apart. Boom. Once you finish your aeration, the next step is to top dress. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can buy a top dressing mix from your landscape supplies, and basically that's a free draining sandy soil that will go down into those holes that you've created and also fill any little blemishes and bumps and low points in your lawn. And you can also use compost, even better if it's your own. The advantage of compost is that it adds organic matter to the soil, which helps feed the grass, but most of all, it helps hold moisture in the ground. And that gives your grass much more even access to water across the seasons ahead. What we're doing now is massaging the top dressing in. And I like to do that with the back of a normal rake with just gentle action. Get it as horizontal as you can and just sweep up and back. And that will push the top dressing into those holes and into any low points. And before you know it, it's all disappeared. The next step is to apply some fertiliser, preferably on a rainy day, to your beautifully aerated and top-dressed lawn. Choose a well-balanced, slow-release fertiliser so that it will give your lawn the minerals it needs for a nice, sustained growth over the months ahead. Well, there you have it. Practical autumn tips that will not only help your garden through the seasonal changes, but will lay the groundwork for it to come alive in spring.
Whilst the daisy family worldwide is incredibly diverse, Australia has its share, with over 1,000 species. They're not only loved by gardeners, daisies are extremely attractive to our insect friends like the bees and the butterflies. Now, the thing we call a daisy flower is actually made up of loads of these tiny flowers. Means there's bucket loads of pollen and nectar to feed on. Some of the most famous of all Australian daisies are the brightly coloured everlastings, or paper daisies. Now, like the name suggests, they're long-lasting, and as cut flowers, they'll hold their shape and colour for years. In West Australia, you don't have to drive too far out of Perth to catch a stunning display of everlastings in late winter, early spring. You can also plant them in your garden, even in the eastern states. And Josh has some great tips for growing the annual varieties at home. They're easy to sow from seed, and for a spring display, sow in late autumn or early winter in a sunny, weed-free area. Everlastings have been widely cultivated, and these days there are many perennial varieties available in a load of colours and sizes. And they will grow in a range of climates. One is the compact shrub Dargan Hill Monarch, which has a vibrant yellow wow factor. Another is Daisy Field Gold, with creamy white bracts and gold florets. They'll respond well to a light prune each year, and this will encourage more flowers. Take a look at Chrysocephalum. Now, with its profusion of honey-coloured button flowers throughout the year, this one does not stop flowering. Moist soil with moderate drainage, and of course the insects love them too. And Ozyphemnus. It'll thrive in a sunny spot with well-draining soil, and it makes a lovely feature plant as well as a cut flower. Now, the list grows on. When you start delving into the daisy family, you're bound to find one or three that you'll like and that'll bring everlasting colour for years to come.
You know how much Millie loves getting on the tools. Well, she's doing another DIY project, and you're going to want to give it a go at your place. Toolkit ready? Let's do it.
No gardener has enough space, particularly if they are growing food. And in our cool climate, really, if we want to make sure we have something to eat all the time, we always have to be planting. The good news is you can start a new garden almost anywhere. On disused lawn, a driveway, even on concrete, simply by using the no-dig method. At the lower end of the slope here and all of those existing beds, I have this great big sunny area, and it gets great winter sun as well, so I want to put it to productive use. It is at the bottom of the slope, which means all of the winter water runs down here. So that no-dig method is going to give me that elevation, which means the bed will drain. It's going to be about 2.5 metres long by 1.5 metres wide. And to retain all of that no-dig goodness, I need to give it an edge. The edge I'm using is just timber. It's a salvaged macrocarpa tree, so I tend not to use railway sleepers because they do sometimes have a treatment on them that gives them a long life under the trains, but not great for growing food. Now, this is only 150 millimetres high, which is enough for my situation, but if you wanted to make a deeper bed, you just join a couple together. I'm using the square to ensure all my cuts are nice and straight. Always clamp your timber down before you make any cuts. I'm cutting all the timber to length, creating 2 long sides and 2 short. I'm also cutting 2 short pieces to act as corner blocks. I'll fix these to the long sides a sleeper's width from the end. This will give me a solid block to screw into, reinforcing the join and stabilising the corners. I'm pre-drilling the holes and using galvanised tech screws, which should outlast the timber. Macrocarpa timber is particularly durable above ground, but where it is making contact with soil, it's more prone to rot. Now, you could paint this to give it a little bit of extra seal on the inside, or even line it with some pond liner or some plastic. But this is only going to be in the ground, I think, for a couple of years. It's not a long-term fix, so a little bit of oil will give it a bit of protection to see it through. It's really soaking that up. So I'm just going to let this dry for a couple of hours while I prep the spot. Just making sure that the whole area is relatively level. I'll level the box as it goes in, but I need a good firm base for it to stand on. I reckon that's good. Oh wow, that is like I bought one. It's perfectly level, which means it's ready to fill. When you're making a no-dig garden bed, you really can use any organic material you can get your hands on. The more diverse, the better. It's like making compost in the ground. So this is wood chips. It's really primo stuff. I scabbed it from the arborists in springtime when they were clearing the growth from around power lines. Once you've got a brown layer, you've got to put in some green. And these deep layers are a fantastic spot to bury leafy weeds. Even stuff with seeds can go nice and deep because they're not going to have any light on them. They're not going to be a problem shooting away, but never rhizomes or runners. The next layer is some clean straw, covered with a little bit of poultry manure and a few shovelfuls of soil. I'll soak the lot to make sure everything's wet through. A little bit more green, because let's face it, you can never have enough. This is halfway between compost and straw, and I think it's going to make a fantastic upper layer for the seedlings. I'm also sprinkling on gypsum, which adds calcium to the bed without raising the pH. And then a small amount of organic fertiliser just to make sure that all of the microorganisms that are going to turn all of these ingredients into perfect soil have plenty to eat. All I need to do now is give that whole thing another really big drink, and then I'll be ready to plant. I'm going to make some little planting pockets into that top layer of straw, and I'm going to add a little sort of handful of this mix. It's my own compost mixed with a little bit of our soil, and I think it's going to be a perfect little media to get the seedlings started. I'm planting the taller crops at the back on the side of the bed that'll get sun, and because these are brassicas, you can see they've got some holes in the leaves. They're a bit worse for wear. I'm just checking them for any caterpillar eggs before they go on the ground. Stoked with that. It took a bit of work, of course, and a little bit of material, but in one day I've managed to get a whole new garden bed up and going, and I really needed it. I needed a bit more space in the rotation. It really does show you that you really can grow food anywhere, and using the no-dig method, you chuck all those waste materials, pile them up, and you can get fantastic rewards.
You know how much I love gardening, right?
Yeah.
Well, if there's one job I really dislike, that's pruning overgrown bougainvillea. I mean, I love those beautiful coloured bracts, but hate those thorns. How about you, Costa?
All right. Well, dislike, I'll go so far as to say hate. It's a big word, hate. I don't use it. It's not part of my vocabulary, but this is one I hate. When people and their dogs put their plastic bags with dog poo in my green bin. I hate that. Tammy?
Oh, that's a disaster.
It is. I got to dig it out, and it's like, please.
Oh, gosh. Well, my hate would have to be just a small one, but it's a really annoying one. You know, when you're starting a new garden or starting a new section, having to wheelbarrow all that, you know, either dirt or gravel, whatever it is, because it feels like I'm getting nowhere. I'm just going back and forward. And it's the most repetitive thing, and finally, you know, it becomes...
Patience.
So I need to channel that.
Still to come on Gardening Australia. Sophie visits a vineyard recruiting some tiny employees. Josh has a hole in his bucket. Dear Liza. And we meet some artisans using humble straw to create dazzling results.
The easiest way to multiply plants you already have at home is by propagating cuttings in water. It will not only increase your collection, but you have clones of your original plant. Most indoor plants work really well with water propagation, and they can last a long time in water. Cuttings from herbaceous plants like geraniums and coleus work well too, but appreciate being potted up as soon as their roots appear. When you get to woodier stem plants, it's best to go straight into a medium like soil or sand, as they can easily rot in water. Many of us use glass jars or bottles, but because roots are light sensitive, they'll actually grow better in non-transparent vessels. This makes sense if you think about how roots grow underground in soil with no light. This also helps reduce the buildup of algae. If you do want to use up old transparent jars, you could wrap a piece of paper around the main part or even paint it to give the roots some protection. Now, to get the propagating underway, start by removing the lower leaves from the base of your cutting so they don't rot. Then simply pop it in a glass jar full of water, ensuring that the base of the stem is always submerged. Top up the water regularly, but you don't need to worry about changing it unless it becomes murky or a bit smelly. Now I've had this syngonium growing at home for the past months. And look at all those roots. Now, I could keep it growing in water, but if I want it to flourish into a mature plant, I'm going to need to pot it on. I'm using a free draining mix for the cutting. Now you can see these roots are quite long, so I'm going to give them a trim so they can fit into their new pot. Now it's gone from a water environment to soil, so it's going to take a little bit of time to adapt to its new home. Water regularly to keep the soil moist, and this will help. Propagating cuttings in water is simple to do, so why not give it a try, and that way you can have more of the plants you enjoy.
Some of you might be sitting back right now enjoying a wine after a big work. Well, Sophie's here with an expert who's turning to nature's tiny helpers to make that glass even sweeter.
Here amongst the picturesque vine rows of the Adelaide Hills, a quiet revolution is taking place. One that's peeling back European ideas of growing grapes by using local plants to cultivate invertebrates for commercial pest control. Dr. Mary Retallick is an agroecologist and viticulturist and is at the forefront of ushering in this change. Mary leads the National Eco Vineyard program, which started in 2019 and is actively influencing the practices of wine growers of over 150,000 hectares of wine country across 8 major wine regions right across the country. At the heart of the program are predatory arthropods, a term Mary uses to describe the class of invertebrates that prey on common vineyard pests. So how does the National Eco Vineyard program work?
Well, Sophie, we're working in harmony with nature. We've got a focus on soil health, on ground covers, and also functional biodiversity, which is focusing on native insectary plants, the arthropods, so the insects and spiders found in association, and their capacity to provide biocontrol of some of the insect pests that we have in vineyards.
And how has the program been received by the wine industry?
It's been really warmly received, Sophie. There's just such genuine interest and engagement by growers. We're kind of going back to basics, but we're working smarter rather than harder, and nature has many of the answers that we're looking for.
Step 1 for Eco Vineyards is getting rid of the rose bushes at the end of the rows, which Mary says have no value in an Australian context. In their place comes a suite of local native plant species that Mary pulls from plant communities present prior to 1788. The plant species Mary advises to use will vary depending on the vineyard's location. How big is the impact of these plantings in vineyards and the environment more widely?
It's got the capacity to have significant impact. We're wanting to build resilience into these production systems so we don't have to intervene as often, and most importantly, we're not having to spray chemicals in vineyards to control some of these insect pests.
So it's all about pest management, and the predatory arthropods hold a lot of answers.
Yes, absolutely, and it's not only the benefits in terms of biocontrol, but we get all of these other ecosystem services as well. So with soil health, we're getting nutrient cycling, we're getting better water infiltration, we're reducing erosion, we're building resilience into these systems so we don't have to intervene as often. So the system becomes self-healing, and it means that we get the benefit of being able to really work in harmony with nature or the intelligence of nature.
Public enemy number one in the vineyard is the light brown apple moth. It's a native moth, but the small green caterpillar is a voracious eater and loves to chew on both vine leaves and fruit. There are 3 hero plants that have become staples in the Eco Vineyards program because of their ability to tackle this moth and plenty of other pests. So the first of our plant heroes is Berseria spinosa, or sweet Berseria. How does this help the vineyard?
Sweet Berseria will host a whole range of predatory arthropods. It has these fantastic flowers which provide an abundance of nectar and pollen. It's also an absolute magnet for a whole lot of parasitic wasps, and also the orange assassin bug.
And what does the orange assassin bug do in a vineyard setting?
Well, they're an example of a true bug, so they have piercing and sucking mouth parts. And when they find some prey, it might be a caterpillar like the light brown apple moth, they use their proboscis, their mouth parts, and they skewer their prey. They then inject this saliva which liquefies its guts, and then, well, you can imagine the rest. Yeah.
So they're a hero. They're what we want in our gardens too.
They are. You just need to be careful not to pick up the assassin bug if you find it, because it may give a nasty bite. But if you see them, they're very distinctive and they're fantastic predators.
So the second beneficial plant is this prickly tea tree, or Leptospermum. I can see it's just finished flowering. Why is this one such a magnet for good guys?
This plant, Leptospermum continentale, just has these fantastic proliferation of white flowers, and they pop like popcorn from the end of August onwards. And they also provide habitat for a range of spiders, but in particular the bird dropping or the bird poo spider.
And what does a bird-dropping spider do in the context of a vineyard?
Well, it looks like a bird poo, which provides camouflage so that it's not consumed by birds. And it also is a very cunning predator, but a lazy one. So it will release a pheromone that mimics that of, say, a female moth. It waits for the male moths to come and find a mate, and it'll grab them with their big forearms.
And there's a third high-performing plant around this area, isn't there?
Yeah, we're looking at wallaby grass, which is Ritidosperma species, and you can see these fantastic fluffy seed heads. And there's a particular species that we like, which is called the need wallaby grass, and it grows really low to the ground. It provides breeding sites for brown lacewings, also wolf spiders, lots of ground beetles, which are all fantastic predators. And they like to predate light brown apple moth and other pests, insects in the vineyard, especially at ground level.
Tell me more about the brown lacewings.
Brown lacewings are a fantastic predator. You also might be familiar with the green lacewings, which we find in the canopy of grapevines, and the larval stage are called junk bugs, and they lay their eggs on these lovely filaments, and that's because they're likely, once they're hatched, to eat each other. The brown lacewings, however, tend to be more ground-based, and they also have a lovely little larva, and they are like little Pac-Man, and they'll go through and eat the soft eggs of light brown apple moth and also some of the other key pests that we have in vineyards.
This vineyard has been part of the program since 2019, and the plantings are still establishing. Importantly, the vineyard now uses less inputs like pesticides, which means less money and labour and less collateral pesticide to the environment. Seeing this on a big scale like a vineyard is one thing, but there are lessons here for all of us at home too. Mary's place is a bush block set in stringy bark woodland, where she's planted thousands of tube stock of local native species at high density to encourage predatory invertebrates. So the principles applied to a vineyard can be applied to a home garden, and in particular a veggie patch.
That's right. We're providing habitat for a diversity of different arthropods. They help provide biocontrol of some of the pest species we might have in the veg patch. So exactly the same principle.
So what have you planted?
Well, as we saw at the vineyard, we have sweet Visaria, we've got prickly tea tree, we've got the wallaby grasses, but here we're showcasing a whole range of low-growing woody ground covers. So species like New Holland daisy is fantastic for attracting ladybird beetles. We have a range of fanflower. We also have Myoporum, creeping boobiella. They flower all year round. We have saltbush, probably 20 different species here, which are all part of a pre-European plant species list. So they were here before we modified the landscape, so we know that they're going to do well in their natural setting.
So you've also got another veggie patch that's enclosed, and that's got in-ground beds. How have you incorporated local native plants in that?
Again, we've got a diversity of veggies in that smaller enclosure. And what I've done there is we've put the native insectary plants inside the enclosure right next to those plants in rows. So, again, we're getting that benefit. Some insects have got short legs, so they don't travel as far, and others, like spiders, will balloon for kilometres. So it means that we're going to have, again, a diversity of different insects because we've got a diversity of different plants there providing habitat.
Whether you're at home or out amongst the vines, Mary believes the potential impact of this program is limitless. It's an approach to cultivating that really shows how everything above the ground is interconnected and how the health of a plant can support the health of insects, which support the soil and ultimately the whole ecosystem.
Adeniums are commonly known as desert roses. They can grow to 2 metres in height and look like fat, ancient baobab trees rendered in miniature. I wanted to show you this desert rose because it's very happy. In fact, it's producing pods. These seed pods will split when they're ripe, and the seed have wings and they'll float away. It's easy to germinate the seed, but to catch it, I wrap them in pantyhose. Now, this little design here with these pods sometimes will be found on frangipani, and it's often the cause of consternation. If your frangipani are producing pods, they're happy. It's not a disease. Now, another trick with these little desert roses is a way of displaying them. And by doing this, you can actually improve their looks. Every time you repot, you just loosen it like this in the pot. There we go. Now, I'm not going to put it in a bigger pot, but what I am going to do is to expose some of the roots. And this style is really popular in Asia, where this plant is very widely grown. There's a galaxy of cultivars available with just about every shade and colour under the sun available through collectors. So now you can actually see these are the roots which I want to expose here. So I'm just going to use these secateurs to remove these smaller growths because they're just getting in the way of it. To grow adeniums in the ground, you need a well-drained soil. It can be easier to grow them in a pot where using a succulent mix with a higher sand ratio will maintain drainage. The main trick when you've done this is to cover the exposed roots with a little bit of hessian so they don't get sunburn. And as the plant grows, you continually raise it, so you get a combination of a swollen stem, rather like a baobab, and the exposed roots. And the result is really pleasing. And that's it.
I've been gardening this patch for about 10 years now. But for those of you who've been watching the program for a while, you might remember some of my previous backyards. To find more sun, I ended up around here, on the northern side of the house. We were renting in our younger years. So on a practical level, planting into containers and grow bags was a great way to go because they were cheap, flexible and portable. Portability is also handy if you're chasing sun or need some shade, which can be the difference between success and failure when growing veggies. Now, if you're going to plant into plastic containers, it's important that they're food safe. And the easiest way to tell this is to look for the numbers 1, 2, 4, or 5 at the bottom of the container. This 20-litre bucket is one you typically find in a restaurant kitchen or deli, filled with olives or feta cheese. It's a good size for growing larger plants, like Roma tomatoes. If you're thrifty, you can pick them up cheaply or for free. It'll need some drainage holes at the bottom, which are easy to make with a drill. Then fill with premium potting mix, plant, mulch, stake, and water in. For shallow-rooted crops like this lettuce, smaller 10-litre buckets are perfect. And for thirsty crops that can bolt if they dry out, I put the drainage holes about 4 centimetres above from the base, and that way a little reservoir of water forms to wick up into the root zone. But if it gets too wet, the water can still drain out. Food-safe containers with lids also make great in-situ compost buckets to attract worms and improve the soil around them. Drill a series of holes 2 to 3 centimetres in diameter all over so that worms and other invertebrates can easily get in and out. Then bury it, just leaving the top exposed. I'm packing coarse mulch around the outside to stop loose, dry sand from entering the bucket. Even at this small scale, the principle for making good compost is the same. Place nitrogen-rich greens, like your kitchen scraps, and browns such as paper and dry leaves in layers. And by positioning the container by a prized plant, like this plum tree, it'll become a feeding point to help it along. Well, there you have it. That's how easy it is to get growing and composting. Give it a go.
Plants, they give us so much, including the raw materials that skilled artisans use in their work. Our next story is with a pair who combine natural materials with precision and some serious patience to produce something that will stop you in your tracks.
I first trained as a cabinet maker in fine woodworking.
Yeah, there was a real synergy even before we started working together in some ways.
Yeah, like I really want to do something a little bit different, and I was seeing all the waste in wood, and I thought, oh, the straw is really nice because it's sort of like this ecological material, really easy to transport. And at the time I was traveling a lot.
And Arthur and I met 7 years ago when Arthur moved from France to Australia. So Arthur came around with the straw and some of his samples, you know, which were just beautiful. I guess I already kind of love colour and repetition pattern. We focus on creating unique objects that are covered in straw marquetry. And companies, very luxury brands like Hermes or Louis Vuitton, Cartier, have really embraced it recently.
Here at Gardening Australia, we're very task-oriented, and as usual, we've got a full agenda of gardening lined up for your weekend. But remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Cool temperate gardeners, it's apple harvest time. To check for ripeness, slice an apple in half horizontally and stick the two halves back together. If they hold, the fruit is ripe and you can keep on picking. Planning on planting some bare root roses in July? Prepare the soil now by digging through well-rotted manure and compost and planting a green manure crop of mustard greens. Garlic in the Creole group, including Rojo de Castro and Dynamite Purple, can go in now. Cracking in cool climates, these delicious varieties will store for at least 12 months after harvest. In warm temperate gardens, pick pumpkins before they fall foul of frost. Leave a little stalk attached to the fruit and store in a cool, dry spot until they're needed for soup or scones. Don't have much room? Grow some mushrooms. Grab an inoculated kit from your local nursery, keep it moist, and in no time you'll be harvesting fistfuls of fab fungi. As you clear summer crops, be sure to turn spent mulch into the soil or collect it and put in the compost. This will help diminish winter habitat and hidey holes for slugs and snails. In the subtropics, fuchsias are finishing their flowering period, so it's time for a chop. They bloom on new wood, so a haircut now will prime them for future flowering come spring. Whack in Warrigal Greens, a native spinach alternative whose foliage is delicious once blanched. Tops for tricky spots, they're as happy growing in the shade as they are the sun. It's time to plant certified seed potatoes. Spuds need sunshine, space and rich fertile soil. So pop potatoes into a bed, bag or bin, eyes up, and continuously cover foliage with soil as it appears. In the tropics, flowering now is the blue ginger. With their incredible spikes of royal blue flowers poking out from glossy green leaves, this plant will light up any shady spot. Capsicums can be started now from seed. Look for smaller varieties for more reliable harvests, and don't be afraid of a bit of colour. If your heliconias have seen better days, get in there and give them a tidy up. Spent flowers and damaged stems can be pruned back now. In arid gardens, show your citrus some love. Prune now to remove dead, diseased or damaged wood. While you're at it, thin heavy crops to improve the quality of fruit. Keep the secateurs out and tip prune passion fruit to promote fruiting and improved yields. But don't bin the young leaves. They're edible and truly delicious in salads or stir fries. Head out to the compost heap and move prepared compost onto garden beds, making space in the bin for fresh prunings and fallen leaves. What better way to celebrate International Compost Awareness Week? Autumn's an amazing time to get stuck into truckloads of jobs in the garden. So let us know what you get up to this weekend on our Gardening Australia social pages.
We're here at the Sydney Seafood Markets, and I spent a lot of my childhood hanging out here waiting for my mum to do her restaurant shop. And like a seagull, I kind of just be hovering around, looking at all the fish, touching all the eyes, you know, lifting up the gills of this and that. And it was such a curious exploration of food for me. The fish markets was also another place where I heard Thai being spoken, which was so rare around Sydney back in the 80s. I grew up thinking we were probably the only Thai family in the village. Wrong.
In this episode, I'm going to stay close to the Sydney Fish Market and meet two old friends of mine in nearby Thai town Haymarket who share a similar experience of growing up in Australia. Together, we'll cook up some unconventional versions of some Thai classics and reminisce about our childhood.
He's like, oh, Mum, you know, please don't cook fish with rice.
I'm Palissa Anderson, and food is my life. As a grower, I'm connected to the earth. Everywhere I look, I'm a part of what is growing, and I'm fortunate to witness the life cycle of the produce we deliver. And the origins of this connection goes all the way back to my childhood. My mother, Amy, brought her pioneering vision of Thai food to Sydney starting Chat Thai in 1989. Growing up in restaurants, my love of food was sealed. However, it took another 25 years to manifest my own change in the world with Boonluck Farm in northern New South Wales. In Thai, there's a well-known expression, nam chai, meaning to embody water of the heart, considered mindfulness and open generosity towards all. For me, this ideal is nowhere more present than in the nurture of land. In this series, I'm going to take you on a journey to meet some of my favourite people and taste a dish that is of them and their food history. And I will also delve into my own food memories of Thailand, a place that seems so far away now, but will always be on the tip of my tongue. This is Waterheart Food. As Thailand has a large coastline much like Australia, seafood is a beloved element of the cuisine, with whole fish, crustaceans and its dried and fermented byproducts being key ingredients to many dishes. A particular place in Thailand that brings back wonderful memories of dining is the seaside enclave of Hua Hin. Famous for its beautiful white sand beaches and the Royal Summer Palace, the town started off as a sleepy fishing village. It is also where my mother's farm is located, so my connection to it runs deep. Another market my mother and I spend a lot of time at is the Sydney Fish Market, a place where generations of families have shopped and which has always been an essential hub for chefs and restaurants alike in New South Wales. And one of those chefs is my friend Ari Walpole, whose ingenious experience will be on display as he creates a Thai classic, som tam, inspired by indigenous ingredients.
Ari, have you ever seen a filleted piece of fish in a Thai wet market?
Never seen a filleted fish in Thai. Plenty of plastic bags in the end of sticks.
Yeah, right, chasing away the flies. We're here at Sydney Seafood Markets, and I can just spy around us some of the most incredible whole fish, like as we see here right
Fresh,
now.
wild, sustainable seafood. It's gorgeous.
And that's kind of the seafood that I grew up eating. Whatever was local, whatever had been just brought up from the boats. Like whenever we go on holidays, that's what my mum would kind of take us down to, the piers. You'd be shocked if you actually brought a fillet of fish home to cook. I think
the bones are where the flavours are. You know, you use the skin, you use the eyes, you eat the whole bloody thing. Roe, guts, everything. You even eat the juices that come out of the fish.
That's right. Well, you catch that and use that as your cooking sauce. Anyway, so back to the Sydney Seafood Markets. I remember like coming to get unopened oysters and cockles and all those things.
The stuff you can find stuff here that you can't get at your local fishmonger.
Yeah.
The smaller sprats, your tiny little mackerels.
And we'd never think about putting that in a menu because it just wasn't known, for one, I think.
I think a lot of people thought it would be too lowbrow. They thought they put it on the menu.
True.
This is what poor people, this is what people on a budget eat. Why would you want to come and eat that in a restaurant? I never thought, how much more flavours is it?
Absolutely.
A little bit harder to cook, but if you got that down pat.
Yeah, well, the Thais are masters of drawing flavour out of very little, aren't they?
That's what we do.
Tell me about this fish we're cooking today.
Blue mackerel, it's very similar to batul. You'll recognise it's mackerel, it's the same family. It's a very similar shape, but it's got just a little bit more flesh on it.
I certainly grew up eating this. I'm not sure about you, but...
Every person with a bit of Thai heritage will instantly recognise batul.
Yeah.
And in Thailand, you'll find this salted, smoked, pickled,
dried.
It's a fish. It's a fish that has that strong sort of
blue
flavour, similar to sardines.
And I'm not sure how you grew up eating it, but my mum would fry them and then pick the meat off and then mix it with rice and a little bit of like Maggi sauce. My favourite bit is actually like the belly, and if you found roe, that was like cha-ching bonus.
My uncle was eating the eyes.
Yeah,
and the roe.
And that's why we've got such good skin, because we eat all the gelatinous stuff.
You can always tell when a Thai is eating, because at the end of it, there's nothing left in the spine.
Nothing, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's do it.
Fantastic.
That is a beautiful mackerel.
I love mackerel. Small, but packing lots of flavour.
That's right. Now, what have you done to it?
Absolutely nothing. The guys down at the shop were nice enough to take the guts out, and I'm just going to prepare it, get it ready for some smoking, and then we're going to make a som tam to go along with it.
Good pair.
Bit sacrilegious here because, as you would know,
we never do that.
We never do that, but I've got to make some concessions.
Don't you love it? Whenever you cook with your parents or, you know, some family members, like, well, we'd never do it like that.
Put on some fish sauce over this guy. He only needs half an hour in the fridge.
With the fish curing in the fridge, Ari starts on the Som Thum, the classic Thai green papaya salad. And today, using papayas from my backyard.
When I was a kid, I was always amazed at the ladies in the market because you'd go and order a Som Thum and they'd whack one out.
They're like...
And I never saw anyone cut themselves.
Yeah, right.
Alrighty, so starting point, as with any salad, is making the dressing.
Okay. This brings me back memories of when your mum set up her shop in Thai town. There was a little section for Som Thum, wasn't there? You were doing Som Thum.
You could go in there and you could order a Som. People used to love it. It was
great.
People would come in there and I love the fact that your shop is chaos and you can come in here and it smells like Thailand, it sounds like Thailand.
Yeah.
There's Thai people talking, but not only that, there's the
the lady in the corner making the Som Thum.
There's that noise coming from out the back, and that's what. For a long time, it was where the Thai community went. We're starting off with the garlic. I'm just going to use 2 chilies. That's nicely pounded up now. So we're going to add some of this dried shrimp. All right.
Nice colour.
So I'll grab the palm sugar and I'm just going to add a few little shavings now.
Yeah.
And if it's not sweet enough, we can add some more later on. This is the time for the Davidson plum.
The colours are amazing already.
It's got a nice, beautiful pinky purple hue to it. So tomatoes are next. Sorry, with the tomatoes, I'm just going to pound them and squash them. We're just going to push against the side. We're not going to whack it. So they add a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of flavour.
Delish.
And yes, and this is where you can tell the
good
the dilettantes from the guys that do this for an actual living.
Just kind of give us a little example of how you would see it in Thailand. It'd be like, right?
It's so much more stylish and so much more efficient.
And they've got real rhythm to them, the way they use like this, the ladle the big spoon actually to scrape it around. And then next?
Next, I'm going to add a little bit of lime juice, fish sauce. Let's give this a try. That's how I judge a Som on the colour and spiciness.
That's really good.
It's rough, but it's ready. Now it's just time for dressing. Som Thum wouldn't be Som Thum unless you've got some peanuts, and here they are, just previously roasted ones.
You just pan roasted them easily. You could do it in the oven or pan roast them, right?
Exactly, either way.
I like heaps of peanuts.
I like
that. Yeah.
Bit of crunch. So add some peanuts now, and we can mix them through, and I'll reserve a little bit just as a garnish later on. We'll just let that sit for a little bit.
The salad ready, Ari heats up 2 granite rocks, which along with the fish are placed into the base of a large saucepan lined with paper bark. This may look complicated, but truly the setup is really easily done and worth the extra effort, as the results will be delicious.
Right, our fish has had its allotted half an hour inside the smoker.
That smell. That smells just incredible.
So I'm just going to fry this inside first.
Yum, yum.
About a minute on one side and a minute on the other.
I think this is a really good time. When you start to see kind of a bit of that blood seam coming up, you can see it here.
And while that's there, our beautiful Som Thum. Bit of garnish with our peanuts.
Beautiful.
A good fist of sticky rice, and that'd be, you know,
good for 10.
That'd be lunch for,
A lot of farmers. You'd have a whole bunch of vegetables and, like, you know, herbs, and it'd look like this. That would be what would feed 12 people.
For sure.
Right, we're saying that. Let's tuck into it because
let's get into it.
I want to eat it while it's still hot. All right, I'm gonna go belly because I love belly.
I'm gonna start with the Som Thum.
This is how I remember eating fish.
Couple of bones. Work hard for it.
Yum. I can really taste the smoky. The smoky paper bark infusion. It's almost the first thing that hits you. I'm going to try it with the Davidson plum because I have a feeling that's going to be even better.
I like it.
That's genius. I'm going to use that next time.
The tropical rainforests of Thailand comprise a diverse array of native edible fruits, vegetables and aromatics which have always been used creatively in the cuisine. One common culinary addition is the Pandanus amurali folius, frequently used in Southeast Asian cooking. I have a special weakness for pandan. It can elevate both sweet and savoury dishes, and then when used whole like the way it is in the pandan cake, it lends a verdant vibrancy. A good friend of mine, singer-songwriter Mahalia Barnes, is in town. Her cooking is informed, much like mine, from her Thai-born mother and her dual cultural upbringing between Australia and visits to Thailand. I've invited her and Ari to chat Thai for a feast and a trip down memory lane. Mahalia also happens to be an avid baker, and if she's willing, I'll coax her into making the Boon Cafe rendition of the pandan chiffon coconut cake.
So we're mid-feast here at Chat Thai, and in typical Thai fashion, everything's on the table all at once, and we are like eating, stuffing our faces.
It's an eating frenzy.
It's like, put it down, get right to it, you know, no mucking about. Now, the one thing I do remember about eating like this is it was a weekend thing. During the week, especially going to school, I used to be quite embarrassed about the foods. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, coming from a Thai restaurant background.
Is it too much, or the smell, or...?
Well, all of the above, right? Like having friends over and, like, taking these kind of foods to